such good shit! Hey, it's Mark Rodriguez here. This is the third episode of Diving Cutter, our wrestling podcast. And with me is...
What's up? Let's get this done.
And it's me, of course, Jack Nyes from Jack Nyes Reviews.
Alright guys, and as promised, we have a very special guest. I wanted to keep it under wraps until we were 100% sure everything, came through. We have none other than everyone's favorite indie darling, Hell's favorite harlot, Priscilla Kelly.
Hi guys, how are ya?
Good. Another month of quarantine here.
Yeah, I feel like every month since quarantine, it's like everything has just felt like March. It feels like we're still in March, but
Right.
It's almost June now. So
I've run out of stuff to watch on Netflix. Yeah.
see, I don't watch anything. So all my time has been just like going to the gym and scrolling and working on music. So it's been a really long few months.
I bet. Yeah.
I totally agree. It's crazy. The quarantine's getting weirder. It's like time has stopped.
Yeah, that's exactly how it feels. It literally feels like it's still March, but it's not. This has been the slowest / fastest year of all time.
Well, Mark, we got the good word. We can actually sit in a restaurant next Friday. How about it?
Oh god.
Oh yeah, everything's open here in Atlanta. So like Dave and Buster's, which is just like a huge arcade, like they're open now. Which is crazy to me because a giant arcade is open, but I tried to go to like Forever 21 and only 10 people are allowed in the store and you have to wear a mask, but yet a freaking arcade where there's just dozens and dozens of people touching everything, that's allowed, but there's like lines to get in some of the stores around here. It makes no sense.
Are they still wearing masks and everything in the Dave and Buster's?
I don't know. I didn't go into the Dave & Buster's. I would assume that they're required, but at the same time, like, it's an arcade. Everybody's touching everything, and, like, people touch their faces. They don't realize they do it, but they do, and then they're touching everything, and, like, I don't really care. I'm just like, hey, guys, just keep your hands clean. If you're sick, stay home. It's kind of like, I'm not gonna sit here and, like, put my entire life on hold and be paranoid and panicked every 5 seconds. I'm just going to take the precautions needed and, do my best. And I feel like some of the panic is ridiculous. I think if we all just did the bare, the minimum that we should be doing regardless, it's keeping our hands clean, staying home if we're sick.
It is kind of funny that we all got basically a plead from the world to please wash your hands. Like, did that really need to be said?
But you see the Joe Hendry did a Blink 182 parody with the just wash your hands again. It was great. It was like the perfect spoof of everything.
Yeah, that was funny.
So, we're going to start a couple of questions here. We're going to kind of, it'll be kind of a mix, here and there. It won't focus, we're going to try not to go, too into wrestling, but there's some stuff we are curious about. But we're also going to try to go into, the kind of stuff that you do when you're not, getting socked in the face by people and stuff like that. So, one of the things I noticed is, we had, Shine Wrestling, and they released, the Shine Nova belt back then. And there was a big tournament for it, and you were the lucky one. You were, the first one, the inaugural Shine Nova champion. I just gotta know, how did you feel? How cool is that? When I guess they tell you beforehand, hey, you're gonna be the first champion for this belt. What was going through your head during those moments?
So that was I think I was only wrestling at the time for 2 years. And that whole weekend, of the tournament it was probably the biggest thing I had done at the time, just because, having to wrestle so many matches with very little time to plan anything. Most of the matches that I did during that tournament, it was very much just go out there and do it. And there was not a lot of planning. There was not a lot of, ideas. It was just got to go out here and got to do it. And so it was a really big test for me at the time. But whenever you were the first champion for, anything, anywhere, you basically get to give that championship title meaning. You are the person that gets to basically make a name for that championship and what it means to have that championship. So I feel like whoever is the first person to have a title, it's the most important title run because it's basically setting the tone for everybody else that's going to have the title.
Yeah, I mean, plus it's historic. Like, you're always going to be known as the first champion.
Yeah, for sure.
Priscilla, you recently returned to MLW TV. I'm a big MLW fan, so I watch a lot of the product and everything. So you returned in November. Now, prior to this virus madness and everything, they were really starting to roll out their women's division. So you had that work with Zeta Zhang, and you unmasked yourself, revealed yourself as the Spider Lady. And now, before all this went down, are there plans to crown a champion? When everything's back running and everything again? Because I mean, I really think that I thought they were starting to really take some steps here to really have a pretty decent women's division.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because so I never signed anything with MLW. It was all just kind of a verbal agreement to, hey, I'm gonna do these many dates with you guys. And it's so weird because I feel like everybody on the internet and has put around this rumor that I'm contracted with MLW in a exclusive contract deal. And I'm just like, I always wonder, I'm like, where do these guys get their information? And why do they speak about it so confidently on the internet? Like, they know more about my life than I do. Because I'll have people say like, oh, you should go with AEW, or you should go to WWE, and I'll actually have fans that will literally get on there and like argue with every single person and be like, she signed an exclusive deal to MLW, and I'm like, who are you and where did you get this information? But back to my point. It was basically just a verbal agreement for a few dates. So honestly, I don't really know the direction they're going in the women's division. I know they wanted to build one. I know it's hard right now because, I mean, there's no shows happening right now. There's a lot of talent has gotten signed or is doing major things elsewhere. So it's hard right now to build a division, but there's definitely plenty of talent on the independents. I just think people need to invest their time and really seek out the talented women that there are, because they are out there, especially with a lot of the women that were working on the Rise shows up in Chicago. I mean, it's basically just, it's just overflowing with talent up there. And I think it'd be nice to see a nice, strong women's division. I think a lot of the times with a lot of companies, even major companies, you get the idea of, oh, we want a women's division and we're going to make it taken seriously, and we're going to put a lot of work into it, make it really awesome, but it ends up just kind of being on the back burner. It ends up being the second-hand entertainment, and it doesn't get treated with the same respect as the men's does, and this is still a thing today, and it really bugs me because there's so much good talented women out there, and the fact that we aren't given the same respect still, in certain places, I think it really sucks. But I would love to see, honestly, I would love to see a women's division at MLW. I'd love to see a championship for the women. To my knowledge, from what I know, I don't think there is any sort of women's division championship for MLW, to my knowledge. Yeah, but I'm actually currently not doing any more shows with them yet, or anymore. No particular reason, just, I did my dates that I agreed to, and it's all a matter of if they book me again, they book me again. But I also was going in more of the direction of just kind of being with Jimmy Havoc there. So, Jimmy Havoc inevitably left MLW. So, it's a lot of different things up in the air with MLW, but it's a great company. I just, my agreed dates had ended, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. I appreciate you answering that.
When I first saw a couple of your indie matches, I was just like, OMG, is that the Smiths? I love this.
Yeah, no, it sucks though, because like the few televised appearances that I've done, of course you can't use like the Smiths or whatever unless you have the rights to it. So it's always weird for me because I've gotten so used to coming out to How Soon Is Now that when I come out to anything else, like, I just hate it. Like, I don't care what it is, I just hate it.
Yeah, because I noticed when you come out to it, the choreography that you do with like your movements and like your weighing motion is like just perfectly to the beat. That's why I was like, man, I wish you would use it more, but I know why, because the whole same thing in New Japan. Whenever they show matches, they always put a disclaimer. They change it to some generic music and saying, we do not have the rights to this music. So I was like, I get it.
Yeah, that's the sucky thing is like, if you want to use stuff on TV or anything that's filmed, you have to it's a lot of work, and like some places like sometimes it's easy, like if it's a band that I'm friends with, like it's just a matter of signing a piece of paper giving me the rights. But with some bands, especially ones that are signed with major record labels and stuff, you have to go through the actual like record label and get approval, and there has to be money involved, and it's just music is a really big pain. So anytime I see like WWE, like the people that had like actual music artists for like entrance music, it's like I know the hoops they had to jump through to get that to happen. Unless like first, like if the artist is like an actual wrestling fan, it's a lot easier. But a lot of times people are like, "What the hell is wrestling?"
Let's go back a couple years to 2018. You were about 3 years into the business, and you were really, putting in some great work. So then you were selected for the second annual Mae Young Classic, where you had a great first-round match with Deonna Purrazzo, and that really introduced a lot of fans to you. How was that experience, and how did it come about? And how do you think that really impacted your career moving forward after that?
It was one of the funnest weeks that I've had in my career. I mean, other than like going to Japan and stuff like that, it was definitely a great week. I mean, I got to pick the brains of so many incredible performers and whatnot around the Performance Center. And Deonna was somebody that I wanted a singles match with for a long time. So when I got told that my match would be against her, I was just so ecstatic because she's so incredible. She's so good. And I wanted to have that singles match with her so bad in general, and let alone getting to share the stage with her on the Mae Young Classic. And granted, it was a short match. It was one of my favorite matches that I've had to this day. And it was a great experience. Everybody there was really supportive, and everyone was really helpful. And my agent, which was Robbie Brookside, was just incredible to work with. And it was a really great time. And I think being a part of something like that, the Mae Young Classic is a very historical thing in wrestling, I believe. And I think just to be a part of the very select few women that were a part of that, it's really special to me. Because I honestly don't know if they're going to do another one, or if it'll be an every few years kind of thing, or what. But I'm very proud to say that I was a part of it in general. And to me, it's a really big thing, because I think of all the women in the world, I always think, okay, of every woman that there is in the world right now that is incredibly talented, I was chosen to be a part of this. So it's really special to me.
I did want to say that, yeah, that was how I first saw you. And I eventually got into Rice Wrestling. So for me, it was an extra treat to see you like go back there over and over again. So that's, most of my Priscilla Kelly exposure is watching you perform on Rice Wrestling. But okay. So anyways, so one of the things you're kind of known for throughout the years is, I guess, what I personally call your crazy spots. You do stuff like the infamous tampon maneuver. You did like throwing up all over people at times, and I saw this cool one where you were like you got the crowd to grab you and do like a crowd dive, like a concert, and they threw you over like Orange Cassidy and Marco Stunt, and also awesome. You were like, "Hey guys, crowd dive," and they all went for it. So my question is kind of like a two-parter. It's kind of like, first of all, like your own personal story here. What is like your personal favorite wild, crazy idea that you've got? And number two, was there ever one that was so, I guess, so crazy that you kind of held back? You're kind of like, oh no, I can't do this. They're not going to let me, or my opponent will not want to do that or something.
I don't think there's anything that I've wanted to do that's gotten turned down necessarily. So the tampon spot was something I had the idea for. I had the idea to do that for years, and it was just a matter of right place, right time. And at 21 and Up bar show against my opponent named Tuna, it was the best time to do that. There was no ring. You have to get creative at those shows. You don't have a ring to wrestle in. So you really do have to think outside of the box to make your match different. And that's just what I did. But other than that, I've never, honestly, all my ideas, I end up pitching them, and my opponents usually would be like, oh, I don't know. And then they end up going, okay, let's do it. So I've never had anything turned down. But yeah, so the suburban fight show that I did in Vegas, that was the most like off the wall show I think I've ever done. Like when it got announced, it's like Marco Stein and Orange Cassidy against me. I was like, this is the most interesting thing. But yeah, so I was actually terrified that the fans would not crowd surf me, which they did. And it was supposed to be like they throw me onto Orange and Marco, but what they ended up doing was kind of just dropping me. So I almost died in that spot. So Orange and Marco had to save me a little bit because I literally was kind of just going headfirst towards the concrete. But that was definitely one of the weirdest. I mean, we played Duck Duck Goose in the match. I don't know. I don't know whose idea. You know what? It was my idea. I did that. But I mean, I don't know whose idea it was to let us three wrestle on a no bar show.
Well, I could definitely attest to being crowd surf drop. That happened to me at a Rob Zombie concert, and that was a world of pain for about 2 weeks for me.
Yeah, well, usually when you get crowd surf, people, I don't think these fans knew how to properly like crowd surf somebody, because usually you can just kind of glide right over and you can kind of like just go, but they literally just were, you know, they were doing their best. I appreciate them trying. I really do, because any other crowd probably wouldn't have done that. I know like at one of the suburban fight shows out in LA, I tried to get a wall of death with the fans. And they actually did. So they started. We played like some like heavy music, and we were like, all right, wall of death. And I had my opponent stand on one side of the wall, and I stood on the other. We actually got the fans to separate, and a couple fans were like kind of like moshing around just singularly in between the wall of death. And like the music hit, and I thought the fans were gonna really wall of death because they separated and everything. And then it ended up just being me and my opponent going at each other, which is fine. It's fine, but it's like when I wrestle, I want it to be a mix of like technical, hardworking talent, a mosh pit, and a Rob Zombie film. Like that's what I consider. That's my style of wrestling. All of that.
Nice. We got to get you in the Pittsburgh area when all this blows over here, because I got to see you live.
Yeah, definitely. I got to get up east more. Honestly, since the Evolve shows, I haven't really been out east a whole lot. So I'd like to work my way up there as soon as wrestling starts back up again.
You know, you'll love Pittsburgh. I mean, the crowds are just through the roof, even at the small shows. I'll ask another question here, and this is from my little girl. She seen you wrestle on the Jericho Cruise, like on the one show. She's 8, and she's biggest fan. You know, she's very knowledgeable fan too for her age. But she always asks, "Where's the red hair girl?" She wants to see you again. But she likes your tattoo, the black rose tattoo. What's the story behind?
So it's actually a lot of things. So pretty much since the beginning of my career, I've always had roses. So I had a rose crown for years. I wore a black rose crown to the ring. I always carry a rose. And I don't know, it's just kind of always been this thing with me in my wrestling career. But like I said, there's a few meanings behind the rose. One, I love roses. I think they're beautiful, obviously. Another, it was also inspired by Depeche Mode's Violator album cover.
Right.
And on top of that, my poetic explanation for the rose, and it probably sounds really corny, but the thing is about the rose is the stem is ugly, it's thorny, it hurts. It's not a beautiful thing to look at. When it gets to the end, it blooms into something beautiful. And I actually found that to be kind of symbolic of my life. As you know, I got really hard upbringing and just all this stuff like I kind of went through in life, and at times like it seemed hopeless, and I feel like my life kind of just bloomed into something beautiful with getting to see the world and getting to do what I love for a living. So it was kind of a representation of my life, the roses. That's the biggest reason of why I have a red rose with me on the way to the ring and on my arm, and other than that, roses are just beautiful.
As somebody who's come from a tough upbringing himself, like your story is absolutely great, and probably serve as great inspiration to a lot of young girls growing up. And you definitely have a fan in my little 8-year-old here. So so hopefully now, certain things I can't show her yet, but maybe get to get her a little bit on, see a little bit more on AEW. Hopefully, maybe. But she's all over YouTube, so she'll come across you some more here. She was actually on Sammy Guevara's blog once too, so.
So, one of our friends, Macho Taco, couldn't make it, but I do want to give him a shout out and also get his question because he wants to know. One thing he wanted to know is, as you got into wrestling and everything, was there that one particular wrestler that kind of inspired you, or someone that kind of got you into it, or what really made you get into wrestling, and who, or who might have motivated you, or where did you inspire your gimmick, or what was your inspiration, or who got you there, so to speak?
100%. The reason I wrestle, all of my wrestling inspiration, everything came from The Undertaker. That was one of the first wrestlers that I started watching, and it was one of the first wrestlers that I was captivated by. And I always said that I wanted to make people feel the same way that The Undertaker made people feel when the bells would hit, and the crowd would, it would just hit chills on everybody whenever The Undertaker would make his entrance, and just the aura that he had when he came to the ring. I always wanted to provoke that kind of emotion out of people myself, because I don't know why, I just always found him to be one of the most captivating characters in wrestling. And so a lot of my inspiration, a lot of the reason I wrestle and the things that I do, I take a lot of inspiration from him, because I don't know why. I just, like I said, I wanted to be that aura when I come to the ring.
Yeah, and I've noticed the Rise Doors tournament. It was I believe it was either 5 or 6 people, and they all came in with their entrances or whatever. But when you come in, it's whole different vibe, basically. So you're doing a good job with that.
Thank you.
Is there any particular move that you hate taking? Everybody's got that one thing that But what one move is your least favorite one? It's always that this is always bad news bears when I have to take it. Is there something like that stands out?
I don't know. I mean, I definitely don't like taking backpack stunners. Those are pretty scary, because the first time I took one, I don't know if it's my fault or my opponent's fault, but I really kind of jacked my jaw up, and my teeth just kind of went in clacked against each other, and it's one of those moves that I can't really control, so it's such a simple move, and a lot of people would be like, oh, that's easy to take, but to me, I can't, you can't really control it other than just holding on to the person, so it's a little bit scary. Of course, tombstone pile drivers are always a little bit scary, but usually the only people that I'll take those from is people that I really trust. But yeah, I guess the backpack stunners, that's the one.
Yeah, I imagine there's a couple different variables. You can even possibly bite through your tongue too. That's happened to me a couple times just playing basketball, and that's always one of the worst things to go through for me.
Yeah, well, what's bad is I actually took a backpack stunner off of a ladder from Jake Atlas at Rise. So.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was terrifying. It didn't look that insane, but it was very terrifying.
Oh man.
That was a beast of a match there. Holy crap. Yeah.
It just got me just the whole sequence of you two just trading blows to the face and then knees to the face and everything. Holy crap.
Yeah, I miss Jake so much. He's genuinely one of my favorite opponents I've ever had, just because we just clicked. Everything we ever did with each other, we just clicked, and I feel like I could look at him and he would know what I wanted to do. It was crazy. And I wish so badly that him and I could have had a longer string of matches together.
And he has such a great story too. He's one of the true good guys too, from all accounts that I hear. Yeah, I'm glad he's getting such an opportunity now. He's definitely richly deserving of that.
Yeah, of course.
What other hobbies or things do you do when you're not wrestling or training, or how much of your time does that take? Cause I assume since you're like more of an indie star that goes to different organizations, like you have to, I guess, travel more than usual because you got to be at this promotion today and that promotion tomorrow or something. Like what things do you do besides wrestling? What other hobbies or things, interests do you have?
So, I'm really into music, and before I was a wrestler, I was a self-taught pianist. Now, I mean, I'm not Liberace, but I know my chords and I can play some songs. So I'm really into music. I love playing the piano. I love playing the ukulele. I love trying to play my electric guitar. And so I don't know, I love music. I love music videos. I love everything about that art in general. And I really always wanted to be a music artist. And that's something I actually wanted to work on during quarantine, was just trying to get into that and trying to put out some original songs, which is really hard. But it's definitely something that I've always wanted to do. But I've also picked up on painting a lot now. And I actually do enjoy hitting the skate park and doing a bit of skateboarding here and there. I'm not that great at it, only because I'm always scared I'm gonna roll my ankle or something on a dumb trick. So I kind of stick to what I know and I don't get too crazy. But that's my like three things that I pretty much enjoy. I like playing video games, but I found that like recently I don't have the patience to sit down and play a video game. Like I'd rather be doing something active or doing something really productive with my time. But I do enjoy video games.
I would not object to Priscilla Kelly as a DLC character in some game.
I think there are some actually. I think I know there's definitely a lot of um, fan made versions of me on like the WWE game.
Now,
Yeah.
one question on the topic of that, you kind of brought it up. With our buddy Macho Taco that couldn't make it today. One of his big questions, which is a good one in my opinion, um, who would be like your dream match of anyone living or dead, male or female?
Um. Oh, hold on. Let me think about that. That's a tough one. I definitely would love to share the ring with Lita. Um, I think I would love to share the ring with her. I'm really trying to think because there's honestly a lot of people that I would just love to wrestle. Um, God, it's such a tough question. Okay, so I've already been in the ring with him once, but I've always wanted another like a singles match with Jun Kasai.
Mm.
So I've always wanted to wrestle in a singles match with Jun Kasai because we did meet in a tag match once, but it wasn't enough. I want more. But I definitely would. I'd love to wrestle Lita. I think she's like the one that I think. I mean, I just imagine like me and her just going crazy, balls to the wall, not caring about anything except having a badass match, and that's the dream.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun right there. I think she could still go. I think she just think she needs the right amount of money to get her in that ring, but she's not that old,
No, she looks incredible too. I mean, she looks incredible, and I don't really know the condition of like how her body is after all the things that she's done in her career, but I just think even just sharing the ring with her for a very short match it'd be really great.
So do you have, what are a couple like, career goals? Like, I mean, you've done a lot. You've done, in such a short time too. That's crazy. Because even talking about the Mae Young Classic, that seems forever ago. But like, what's one of your biggest goals that you want to achieve? Like, is there a particular country that you want to work in? What are some bucket list things you've got?
I don't really know if it's bucket list, but I would definitely, I want to go back to Japan again. I went 3 times for DDT Pro and Tokyo Joshi, but I definitely would love to go back again just because that was so long ago. But let's see, I'd like to go back to Germany because I went to Germany once, but I didn't really have enough time to really explore Germany. So I'd like to go back to Germany. I think Australia is the one place that I haven't been that I'd love to go. So I guess Australia is on the bucket list, and I don't know, like, I have, like, there's so many promotions and places that I haven't worked for yet that I'd love to, and I know that it's kind of speaking out of reality, but I would love to work for New Japan.
That'd be
Oh,
awesome.
that would be, yeah. Wow, yeah, that'd be great. Even get some intergender matches in there too. That would awesome.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to do, because I mean, my favorite style is, I love just brutal, like, athletic wrestling. I love the New Japan style of just going there and putting it all on the table and just being like, we're just gonna go and we're going to. They just put every ounce of their beings into those matches, and I want to be a part of something like that.
I think with New Japan, what sets it head and shoulders above literally everything else is just the rich storytelling. Like, I mean, no matter whether it's the opening match, whether it's the middle, or the main event, every match is just laid out just so perfectly, and almost anybody can match up with anybody, and there's always a story there. The psychology is through the roof. Yeah, that's New Japan is definitely where it's at.
Do you have any particular like on the road stories? Like whenever you go to Japan, which I understand that it's been quite a while ago, like is there time to I guess admire the sights and do stuff, or is it kind of like okay, wrestle, train, whatever, next match, I don't know, sign autographs, okay, pack up, let's go, or something, or do you have any like fond memories of visiting those places or traveling?
So every time I went to Japan, I was the only American girl there. There were other American guys with me, but I never really did anything with them other than just going to and from shows. So most of my time in Japan was literally spent by myself, roaming the city and trying to find places that I thought were interesting. Because it's hard. Like because I eventually, after the first time I went, I learned the train systems and, how to take the train to different places that I like. But it definitely got really lonely. But I had plenty of downtime. I got to visit so many incredible places, and there's probably more places that I would have liked to go. I didn't know how to get to a lot of places, and I didn't want to risk getting lost in Japan. But I mean, it definitely was fun. I wish that I could have had somebody with me there, that like a friend or somebody, because I felt really lonesome at times. Just because, I mean, it's beautiful, but it's one of those things where like you wish somebody was there to share the experience with you.
One question that Jack Knives had for you, I believe, before he left. He was now this is interesting. He was saying that you had a former job once upon a time, like in a haunted house, something like that.
Yeah.
And his main question was, I guess, how was that, and like did that in any way inspire your current character, or just kind of inspire you to like always be, because you have like um kind of sort of different personas here. Like your character has evolved, but the thing that's kind of stayed similar is that you're always some kind of like dark, being. So has that kind of influenced that, or?
I mean, not, I don't think necessarily working in haunted houses inspired anything like that, but I think it's more so just since I was a kid, just being interested in horror films and a lot of like, I guess you could say like the more alternative style of music and whatnot kind of shaped me into who I am. So it really, like, the thing is like my wrestling character it's not a mask that I put on when I go to the ring. It's who I am in real life, and everything that I do has symbolism, and there's meaning behind everything I do. To where a lot of people, I feel like they throw on some face paint and some dark clothes, and then the moment they're done wrestling, that's not who they are. And I mean, that's fine. You create a character, but who I am in the ring is who I am in real life, but just on a different, more cinematic scale.
Well, interestingly enough, one thing I also noticed, I guess your first brush with fame before wrestling became a thing, was you're actually on the show, the America's Big Fat Gypsy Wedding, some of the sort. And you had like an episode like centered around yourself. One of his questions was anything related to your gypsy upbringing somehow involved in getting you into wrestling, or shaping who you are, I guess in the ring?
Um, I don't know. I think, well, like, a big thing is, and I've said this, like, before a few times, a lot of the stuff that was on that show was completely scripted and twisted and not the truth at
Oh
all. Because
God.
I know a lot of people think that, like, I got married or, like, I actually dated, like, the guys that they said that I was dating on the show and stuff, which is not true at all. It was literally just for TV. But so many people, you'd be surprised, so many people think that I grew up in this like horrible, I mean, granted, my upbringing wasn't ideal. I had a lot of things in my childhood that weren't ideal. But the things in the show were not were not the truths. Like, I didn't grow up like the show depicted that I did. So that's a big thing that like I like to talk about, because I think so many people think that was very true to my life and like how I was raised and how I lived and everything else. So that kind of sucked, because like when I got into wrestling, I kind of wanted to like get away from all of that. But obviously, once you do something on television, it's there forever and it kind of haunts you. But I was 14 at the time, so you can't really hold anything too much against me because I was super young. But yeah, so I mean, really, I try to like stay away from like being known as that person from the show. I try not to like, for like shows, I don't advertise myself as like the person from that show and stuff, because that was so long ago. And if I advertise that I'm from that show and then people go look up the show and watch it, they're gonna think that's who I am and that was real life, and it's not. So yeah, it's one of those things where I kind of just like I kind of just let it die over time.
One thing I was gonna ask, yeah, I do see you guys started off you got your spine buster merch. Pretty awesome stuff there and everything. Is that like I guess like you guys run it yourselves, or is it kind of like a deal with some other company or something like that, or?
So it's actually, I mean, it's pretty much straight up between me, Darby Allen, Brody King, and our friend Steve Hernandez, who actually who works for Baker Skateboards. So we kind of just we're trying to create our own thing where that it's not necessarily a pro wrestling merch company. We want to create clothes, we want to create accessories, things like skateboards and stuff, and it's not all pro wrestling based. I think a lot of times when you get some wrestling world, it ends up being so pro wrestling to where we want to take a different approach. We want to create things that are fashionable, things that people could wear outside of wrestling, and something that's just not straight up a pro wrestling T type company.
So like your merch line, is that like very tied into the music scene too? Like you mentioned that you're trying to record more original songs and everything like that. What kind of genre, like if I may ask, like are you most into music wise?
I'm into so much stuff. I mean, one minute I'll be listening to Dolly Parton, the next minute I'll be listening to Metallica, the next minute, I mean, my music ranges from so many different things, from My Chemical Romance to Circle Jerks to Green Day to even like Lady Gaga. So it's just I listen to so much different things, and I try to like kind of take inspiration from a lot of music artists as well, just on like attitude and fashion, and it's just I've always loved the music industry and the pop culture, and that's what I always wanted to achieve with my wrestling. Is I wanted to be viewed not just as a wrestler, but I wanted to be on that pop culture scale of artistic and just being recognized as more than just someone that wrestles. If that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, like definitely you got great crossover appeal already. I mean, in my opinion. And thing is, I mean, you still had. I mean, it's hard to believe you're still so young. I feel like an old man talking to you. I'm 36. But no, I mean you've done so much already, done so much cool stuff. Wrestle on a cruise liner. So many cool things. But is there have you, do you prefer working like the indies and working, different companies, or eventually down the road, do you eventually want to become exclusive to a certain place, or is this, or, just traveling and, doing different things, having your own, creative freedom, is that more your jam?
I definitely would love to be on a televised company because the thing is I enjoy everything I do is I try to make it cinematic. I like filming promos. I like basically creating little movies with my work. And I think like sometimes on the independents, that art kind of gets lost, and promos aren't appreciated as much in the independents because it's kind of just you'll film it and mostly people just on Twitter will see it, other than the people that are actually watching the show that you're filming the promo for. So storylines kind of just get kind of fumbled around and lost in the mix. And if I was on a televised platform, I really just think it would give me the creative freedom to express my artistic ability and my creative input in like the world of like cinematography and film and stories. And that's what I really want to do, is I want to be on a platform where I can express that side of me and my character.
Well, let's hope. I mean, we see you, weekly, because I mean you're great, and we're definitely big fans. And like I said, my little girl wants to see much more of you. So
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I also hope yeah, it's sad that Rise was I guess you're a close enough shop, because like I said, that was my main source of seeing you, aside from like all these other guest promotions here and there. I do hope you get more appearances in AEW and stuff like that, and I do hope that what if you ever do decide to sign with someone, I guess more like exclusive, I hope they allow you to be you and have your creative freedom. We have so many stories of other companies that shall remain nameless, where you're basically signing your freedom away, your character away, and you were awesome in the indies. Now you're just a jobber, stuff like that. So I hope you always maintain like your creativity, your awesome character, your cinematography, like just that vibe you get like when you come in and everything. You kind of like, I don't know, you kind of like take over the room when you step in. It's like people say everyone's gangsta until Priscilla Kelly steps into the ring.
Do people say that?
Well, I'll say it now. Hashtag.
I mean, I'll take it.
Priscilla, I had one more question, and this is kind of been an interesting thing with this COVID stuff, but with AEW, how they've kind of really done well doing the fanless shows, and they kind of have a lot of the younger talent serving as the fans, and I've seen you done that several times. How is that experience, like, where you're basically helping provide the noise and the atmosphere, because it's coming off on TV awesome, and how's that? Is it surreal being doing a big show like that with no fans?
It's definitely different, but I think so for me, I wrestled in Japan, where a lot of the times the crowds are very silent and they only clap when you do something cool. Like they'll clap at the very end of a sequence. So for me, I'm very much used to having almost like a non-existent crowd and it being silent. So for me, it's obviously a little bit different on a televised program, because you need that atmosphere, but at the same time, that's honestly how it is over in Japan. Matches will be silent, and all you hear is what's happening in the ring. So I think if you have that kind of advantage where you're kind of used to something like that, I think it's not so bad. But I also think it gives viewers at home the chance to really take in what's going on in the ring a lot more than they usually would. So I honestly, I think it's different, and I think it's very it's very interesting to see something like this happening right now with everything going on. But I think AEW is doing a great job at keeping the energy super high, keeping the entertainment is still there, and it's still exciting to watch the shows. And I think they're doing a really good job with it overall, because it still seems very exciting. It doesn't seem like they're just trying to get through these months. It seems like every single show is it's just everybody's giving their absolute all, and you can really see it.
Yeah, they've really set the bar for that. Even other companies that are trying to do too. I mean, they're doing their best, but they're not doing it quite well. I mean, they like you said, they really just they've done well for themselves with this. It could have been the other way completely.
Yeah, definitely.
Hmm. Is there anything about you that you would think would surprise people to know about you? Do you have any random fact that people would be caught off guard?
I mean, like, I think the biggest thing that I never really talked about was my, like, interest in music and singing and whatnot. So I think, but that I've kind of, like, talked about that more, and I've actually posted, like, a little video of me playing piano and stuff. So, but other than that, I don't know. I'm pretty transparent and open with a lot of things, honestly. I try to be, like, the one person out of, a lot of people, I think, try to pretend that they're perfect all the time, or that they're happy all the time, or that they live this one way of living. I try to be super transparent and, like, open and raw with everybody on who I am, how I feel, and that I have emotions too, and that I have bad days and I have good days, and so I just I try to always make my fans feel like I'm relatable rather than just a character or person.
We definitely appreciate you coming on with us, and apologize for the two others who weren't able to make it on. But I think we had a great hour here. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we had a good time here. Is there any closing thing you want to say to, like, your fans, your followers, anything you want to maybe tell your would-be opponents once you come back after COVID's over?
Honestly, the only thing I can say is I don't know when I'm going to be in the ring again. I don't know when I'll see anybody at another show, but all I can hope for is that when I do come back and I do get to see my fans again, that, everyone's still super excited to be there, and, just remember that I will still kick ass, if not even worse than I did, or not worse, but, like, I'll beat people up worse. Yeah.
We trust you. Bring it.
Well, yeah, thanks for coming along, and I'll definitely be looking into the Spinebuster merch and getting some shirts after this. That's kind of cool. And yeah, I guess it kind of concludes this episode of Diving Cutter, and we have our awesome guest here, Priscilla Kelly, which we appreciate her coming aboard and taking some time out of her day to join us and enlighten the fan base more about, I guess, what makes you tick, we can say. And yeah, y'all take care, guys. Have a good day, and thanks for joining us for this very special episode.
Hey, be safe, guys.